Welcome to another segment of Mic Check. I'm Norman Varney. In this segment, I interview guitar tone master Paul Gagon. Paul shares his journey as a young musician, music enthusiast, to a renowned master and innovator of guitar technology. He reflects on his time with Fender, Jackson Charvel, BBE, and G&L. He talks about his early influences and the evolution of guitar electronics and effect pedals. We talk about the science of tone and the importance of collaboration with musicians and artists and the personal touch involved in customizing guitar pickups. He also shares anecdotes of his career and his pride in having his designs used by such legendaries as Eric Clapton. Paul shares his experience in the music industry, meeting rock legends, and recounts memorable moments with many of them. I always love talking to Paul, and you'll find that his insights bring a unique perspective to the behind-the-scenes world of music. This episode is brought to you by AV RoomService, specializing in acoustic design services and products to optimize the performance of your room and equipment experience. Visit us at avroomservice.com or book a call to speak with me to see how I can help you get the most out of your room and gear. AV Room Service, the science of perfected sound. Check 1 2 3. Check 1 2 3. All right. So I'm with Paul Gagon, who I have known for most of my life. We got together because your oldest brother and my oldest sister got married.
That's right.
Yeah, and I'm thinking it's 1966. So today I texted Diane to ask her, and guess what?
What?
Today is their anniversary.
That's right.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Yeah, isn't that insane? So coincidence.
Yeah.
So then later on today, I called her, and she texted me the second before she picked up, I got an email from her. So anyway, just serendipitous and coincidental, and we're on the same wavelength, and it was,
nice.
This is meant to be, apparently.
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway, I was only 6 then, and I was already into music, into the Beatles, primarily into the Beatles and some classical, and that was mainly my thing. But I know that you, later on, probably when I was more like 8 or so, were quite an influence on my music appreciation. I think Jethro Tull, it was either This Was or Benefit.
Yes. Yeah.
And Santana, I'm not sure if you turned me on to Santana or not, but you were absolutely into Santana.
Oh, yeah.
And so that, influenced me too. You were playing stuff on the guitar like Carlos and...
Yeah. A lot of that early, guitar-oriented kind of music. Beatles,
right.
Jethro Tull was a big one, because that was mostly acoustic stuff too, but I was also into that, so...
Yes. Yeah, I remember your room had a bunch of guitars, all kinds of guitars.
Yeah. Well, having both of my older brothers playing guitar, some of them were theirs, and I would play those until I got my own. Yeah.
Ah, okay. Didn't know that. Yeah. Well, so anyway, we should talk, and gosh, man, this sun, oh well. Nothing I can do. It's kind of cool.
What are you going to do? Yeah.
I know. Well, in the future, I'm going to have to get a blackout shade.
There you go.
For when I do Zooms at this time of the day. So a little bit of background regarding Paul. And, I think of you're so unique in your profession. And I know you're retired now, but you are what I would call a tone master for the guitar.
Thank you.
Has anyone called you that?
No, they have not.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
No.
Well, what would you call it?
It's just so interesting. The history that I have with that is I think guitar actually has opened so many doors for me. It was a great sense of comfort growing up and stuff. Just, how you go through the angst of youth and everything, nobody understands you, but your guitar, and you just start playing stuff.
Yeah.
And I was lucky, this was like the height of Beatles, you had the Rolling Stones. And then later on you had, groups like, Zeppelin, Santana, Jethro Tull, and then later progressive rock. It was all heavy into guitar stuff. And it's just all I wanted to know and do. Everything was that way. And even later on, when I started my professional career at Fender, I was a bench technician. I was repairing all the tube amps and all the, the mixers and all the stuff there. But I was always way into it. I was designing little circuits on my own, but I was just sitting at the bench. And then as time went on, I was designing stuff for the benches. And then the people up in engineering said, they would send down this guy with this master's degree in electronics. And he says, well, what would you do if you were going to make these benches, perfect for testing amps? And I said, well, this is what I would do. And I drew everything out and even made my own little unit on the bench. And I didn't know he was going upstairs and passing all this stuff off as his ideas. And it wasn't until, months later that somebody from upper management was walking through and telling me about, oh yeah, this guy who designed all this stuff for your benches, what do you think? I go, what do you mean, what do I think? This is my stuff and here's my drawings and everything. So they let that guy go and they gave me his job. And so I ended up going up into, the industrial engineering and manufacturing engineering. But then the guys in R&D who were designing the amps and all, the pedals and mixing call stuff, none of them played guitar. And so I would go over and play on the guitar and go, well, what do you think? And you go, and I'm telling them, it sounds a little harsh, this, because it was some of the solid state stuff they were trying to get into. I go, it just sounds kind of brittle to me. I think what you should do is, when I'm looking at the schematic, I go, I think I would shave off in this area right here. And you're trying to get too much gain in one stage. You should spread this, so I would just tell them stuff. I didn't think anything would come of it. They would make some mods. I go over and play, and I go, yeah, that sounds better. And I would do jam sessions over in the R&D department with the other R&D guys and stuff. So I got to be really good friends with them and stuff. And then, the opportunity came up and said, hey, we need somebody in R&D who knows how to play guitar, knows what the crap's going on with the, when we're doing all this guitar stuff. And I go, I would love to do that. And they go, oh, by the way, your first project is figure out pickups, because we got massive, issues with pickups on the line, and there's, microphonics here, and there's just a lot of issues. And so that's what I did. Is I just was working with the pickups for Fender, and time goes on, and they go, well, we want to make this elite Stratocaster, and we want to have these fancy pickups and the circuitry and everything. And I'm playing with it, and they got all kinds of ideas, and I'm just going, I don't know, if I were doing it, I would do this. And so I made a little circuit that would squash the resonant peak of the pickup down, and I could add a mid boost and do all kinds of fancy stuff. I made it the way I like it, and they're going, oh, this is really great. We ought to patent this idea. I'd never had heard anything like that before. And I was, I'm kind of the noob in the whole R&D department. The guy who was my boss was the one who goes, well, could you make it variable? Could you make it do this? I go, I can make it do anything you want. This is how you make all this stuff there. And so, mistakenly, I just said, hey, why don't you piggyback? We'll patent this together, because I figured he was in charge of R&D. A really good shot it's going to go through if he's going to be getting a little bit of credit for it too. So it went through, and I'm listed on the patent, and it was that, they call it the TBX, Tone Boost Expansion, and it was on the Fender Elite. And then they also had the MBX, Mid Boost Expansion. So the Elite Strat had TBX and MBX on it, and that was the one that Clapton, when he was going through later and said, I want a guitar that does these things here, he played the Elite and just said, oh, this is exactly what I want to do. So my design.
What year is this?
Let's see, the year that I made it was, I think, 80 or 81. I'm not exactly sure. That's when the Elite was in. And when he decided on it, I don't know, because I wasn't there. I had been let go at Fender in, I think, 84 and went over to Jackson Charvel and worked with Robert Jackson until working at G&L. But I mean, I was thrilled. Wait, Clapton went in and played my circuits and decided I want to have this as my model.
Yeah.
It's still in it. It is still a current model that Fender makes. And I've repaired a couple of years ago, they're still using the same circuit layout that I did. It's still in there,
That's a
So
testimonial.
it's really cool. And and through the years, people go, "Oh, well, who's the TPX?" And all these people chime in. Well, yeah, when I did this and I did that, and I just go, I don't really care that much. But it's like if you pull up the patent, my name's on it. The patent's in my name. So
that is so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So for those who don't know you, and that's going to be like most of my subscribers, give us a little background of what's your bio brief. You were with BBE. When was that?
Yeah. I started at Fender in 78.
78.
Yeah.
Right.
I think I was there till 84. And then I was at Charvel Jackson till basically 91. And then from 91 to 2014, I was at BBE and GNL. I was the VP engineer in there. So, and that was really cool because when I started working there, they didn't have a guitar company. It was just the BBE, the sonic maximizer and all that stuff there. I just needed a job. And it turned out that John McLaren, who was the owner of it, his son, Johnny McLaren Jr., I worked with him at Fender and I was super nice to him. I was the only one who was nice to him, and so we got along really good. He's a really cool kid. He was a really cool kid. I liked him, and he was very inquisitive. So he would come in, and we would just talk all the time. Just a great guy. I like him. And so all these years later, so I go and I interview at BBE talking to John McLaren, who was the president of Fender when I got let go. And so I'm talking to John, and he goes, yeah, we don't really need any engineering guys right now. We're kind of stocked up, but thanks for stopping by. And so as I leave, it turns out that Johnny Jr. goes, "What is the matter with you? Do you know who that is?" And so he lays out the whole rap there. And then so Johnny Jr. was the one that told his dad, said, "No, hire this guy." And so they brought me on, and but it was just all BBE, and that was back when they were struggling. A lot of quality.
What did they have back then?
Just the rack mount. Let's see. They had a rack mount sonic maximizer, a couple of variations of that, unbalanced, balanced, professional level. They had a car unit, which was an absolute disaster.
What? They had a car unit?
Yeah, they had all the guys doing the competitions, the 4,000 watt car, amps and stuff like that. But they had a BBE small unit that would fit in there. And it was causing so much problems. It was booming and popping. You could hear engine noise and all this stuff there. And so,
great.
And so I'm holding this thing. And the other thing they had a guitar preamp that was failing all over the place. They sent them out, and they all had to come back. And so what I walk into a completely wiped out car unit, this guitar preamp that was the complete disaster, and then these rack units that they weren't really designed with people who didn't know what they were doing to use it. Now, I would imagine the guys in your industry, the more of the audiophile guys, these are smart people. They know, okay, you don't take a power amp output and shove it into the input of a preamp. You don't do stuff like that. But I mean, rock and roll musicians and dude like that, they go,
let's give it a shot.
Yeah, let me just take Marshall and plug into this thing here, and you're going, what's the matter with you? And so, you get them back in, you open the lid up, and they go, dude, I just plugged it in. And half the board is just flamed out. You go, yeah, I know you plugged it in, but
I can tell.
Yeah, to what? And so, and so I was the VP, the engineer, and I was.
So was this this was both a design flaw and a QC issue, manufacturing issue?
It was primarily the execution of it, the quality control. There's a little bit of design issue in it too. Fundamentally, I mean, I don't know what you know about the BBE processor or stuff like that. It's a 3-band EQ. It's a state variable filter, 3-band EQ. Mid-range is flipped, and now there's a big rap in it. Never explained well to the customers. All they knew is that, dude, you plug it in and everything sounds bitchin', and that's kind of how it was sold. You would do demos with it, and it did. It sounds really good, but the circuitry is quite simple. But when I came in, is that it wasn't very well protected. It was just, they'd have like an amplifier, an op amp, just hooked up directly to an output jack with no protection on it at all. And so these things were continually being popped.
This wouldn't even this couldn't be made today, could it? UL wouldn't even, right? Or not?
Well, I don't think it would pass UL personally. No.
Yeah.
I don't know that they really bothered with those kinds of things. Like I said, when I started there were 6 service technicians. We had stuff stacked nearly to the ceiling in the service department. It was a real problem. So my goal was to just redesign everything, lay out all the boards, make protection circuitry in and out, redo.
Were they being made here in the U.S.?
Yeah. Right up in Arcadia, there was a factory, Databyte, it's called.
Okay.
Right in Arcadia. So which was convenient because I could pop in a car and within 40 minutes I'm up there in the factory just going, okay, guys, here's what we're going to do. So it was really nice that way. But they had just quality issues in putting the things together. The layouts weren't really good. It's tiny traces and stuff. You'd always like burn the traces off. So I just went through and just redid everything.
Drop it and it breaks.
Yeah. So I redid the guitar preamp, came out with a bass and an acoustic preamp, did a line of guitar pedals, but then they said, hey, Leo Fender passed away, and his Phyllis Fender, the widow, she said, we want to sell it, but I don't want to sell it to somebody who's just gonna take it overseas. And so John McLaren Sr. said, hey, we will take it on. And I'm going, oh, this is great, man. I get to get back into guitar stuff. This is amazing. So I went over and so we did a line of G&L pickups. I did the electronics and stuff like that. I didn't do any like real guitar design till many years later because I got with Grover Jackson, a good friend. I've known him a long time. And I asked him to help me. We were going to make an offshore G&L brand, something a little bit more, modern, along the lines of an Ibanez kind of a thing there. Because we thought that because you got traditional country western, Strat Telly kind of G&L vibe there, trying to spread out a little bit. And so I figured, I don't know anything about this, but I know somebody who knows a lot about it. And so Grover helped me. We did that one, and then I did the pickups for it and everything. It was called like the Fiorano and Ascari. They were quite popular for a while, but G&L just was not really. You can't wear those kind of hats if you don't really get into, like, there's an Ibanez player, more maybe metal, kind of heavier stuff.
Yeah, shredder.
G&L is more of a Brad Paisley, kind of a, chicka picking, more country vibe, maybe jazz stuff. It'll rock too, but you're not going to find, Metallica or Megadeth or any of those kinds of guys back then going,
Right. Yeah. Well, now when you were doing BDE, you were right. Were you part of the surge of pedals and effects and boards with that wasn't a thing until around then, right?
Yeah, no, racks exploded, and I think the reason why it was so easy for the BBE to get into that world is because and I would repair and service a lot of stuff on the side. I had like my own repair shop and stuff, so I was always having guys come in with their Marshall and their effects loop, and then they would roll in their effects racks. And there would be a BBE, and there's just a billion things in there.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, the sound after it comes out of all that mess, of all that stuff, it was
a lot of stuff.
It was pretty,
I know. I think about that all the time.
It was pretty compressed and squoze, and so the BBE, that sonic maximizer, actually helped that. Those guitar players, it kind of cleaned that up a little bit. And
How
it's
so?
not. Because what it does is it takes the mid-range and it flips the phase of it. But then you had this thing called low contour and process where you could boost up the low, very broad band, the low and the high. And if you didn't go too crazy, it just added a little bit of depth and a little bit of a kind of sparkle to it, which just got destroyed with all this rack full of stuff.
Yeah.
And
flattened it
the
out.
metal guys, I don't know, this guitar guys would just go, oh yeah, totally. They would always like pull out the mid-range, and the BBE process has a natural dip in the mid-range, right about 650 cycles. And that worked really well for them. Not everybody loved it because some people who wanted a more mid-range heavy sound, that worked against them. And so you had people that loved it, people that hated it, and so, but enough people loved it where, man, they were moving a ton of that stuff. I mean, they was like, yes, tons of it.
How many pedals do you think, how many boxes do you think you created for them?
The effects pedals? I think we actually I have them up in front of me right now, boxes.
I remember.
I think we had about 18 pedals total.
Okay.
But it ran that gamut where you had, different kinds of distortions, treble boosters, compressors, delays, chorus,
modulators.
The normal things you'd see, like if you went to a pedal company and you said, well, to have the full array, what do you have? And so that's, kind of what I did. I just go, well, so I just took the pedals that I liked and just said, well, okay, let's take the best things out of that. And then I worked with other people and they would go, well, yeah, that's really good. But, could you add this extra feature or could you make it a little bit more versatile then? And so it just got expanded upon,
Let's talk about that. What is the process of, how does it come about? And then what's the process of designing such an effect?
Oh, it's so much fun. It really is. It's so much fun. It's like marketing guys will come by and they say, hey, you know what? We need to have a chorus pedal and we need to have a vibrato pedal. And you go, okay. So you go, well, of the artists that we have in our little kind of corral, what do they use and what do they like? And so, and you get a whole collection and they're all different. And so, I go through them and I go, okay, well, I see what's going on. I'm getting kind of the basic vibe of this here. And so I'll start making up circuits, drawing some stuff out here, and I make my own little prototypes and stuff, put them in a box and everything, and then have people play it. They'll play it and go, that's really cool. I like this. I don't like that. And so then I go, okay, well, let me fix that.
Vector boards? I mean, you're not putting together...
Oh yeah, no. These are on the vector boards, all the bazillion little holes on them.
Okay.
It's all hand wired like that. I don't make a circuit board until I know the circuit's right. Yeah.
Right. You're playing around with it for and letting everybody try it and give their opinion.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, everybody gets their hands on it and touches it and stuff, and then when everybody's going, oh yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Then it goes into a board layout, and then the marketing guys go, well, we want it to be kind of a blue color with these kind of knobs in it. And I'm like, I don't care. What it looks like, couldn't care less.
Or the name of it.
It's on the inside, baby. For me, it's all on the inside circuit.
Right.
And so,
it's all got to be in this little box, though.
Yeah.
There's
a lot of issues too, and sometimes my thing was I wanted to have big fat traces, and so I would use like the military grade boards with the extra thick copper, and I would
several layers, probably
wider than normal. And as a result, these things, I mean, they rarely failed. We didn't have issues with them. Some of the direct boxes that we made, we would ride our trucks over the unit. I was in like a clamshell, a big aluminum clamshell with the board in the and we would run our vehicles over the top of it and then take them in and use them. And I go, yep, as long as if they'll work after that, I don't really remember anything coming back because it was physically damaged or anything. What you would have is in the factory when it was made, they didn't maybe necessarily solder it down as well as they should have, and you can see it was a cold solder, and so you have to touch it up and send it back. And that was just we never charged anybody for that kind of stuff. We had great warranty setups on all of the products, sir.
Yeah. Did you do drop tests?
Oh, dude, I did. Go to the top of our building and drop them off. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So what kind of tools were at your disposal? I mean, you're at the factory. You've got your soldering iron, and you've got what kind of tools to create different types of tones? A combination. What are you doing?
Well, what I was doing mostly was I'm drawing off of the experience I have of playing a lot of different kind of equipment and stuff. You go to NAMM shows. I mean, you remember, you go to NAMM shows,
I remember
I don't even
running into you.
40 some odd years I've been going to those things. For
Yeah.
me, the NAMM show was that I went in, I played everybody's guitars. I played everybody's pedals, played the amps. I mean, I just went in there and it was just absorb. And then I would go to the music stores and play stuff. And then, of course, as money allows, I buy, I've got 30 guitars in the house and, all kinds of pedals and stuff like that. Is that I immersed myself in that world, and so I knew what I wanted to do, and so the tools to create are really just the circuit designs, boxes and vector boards and components and the scopes, generators, and it's pretty primitive. The most exotic thing I ever had was an audio precision, piece of test equipment. Which
that's expensive.
I got to actually keep that when they let me go from G&L. One of the stipulations.
Wow.
I'm taking the AP with me because it was like even using it was $4,000, and I go, and so I use that actually a lot. It's a very good diagnostic tool for me. I do that a lot, and I use it now. I still do consultant work for people and still design stuff. And it's always if questions are asked, well, why does this do that and that? And I go, well, let me build it up. And then I'll run it through the AP, give you all the plots and everything, and tell you what's going on, and then give you suggestions of what I would do to fix it. And it's not like you go, okay, and only I have the answer. No, it's like I have things that I do, and they work pretty well, but it's not the only solution. There's a lot of people that have some pretty clever ideas.
Well, I would think some of these ideas would be coming from the artists themselves. Some guitar players, metalheads or whatever, going, "Hey, I'm after this kind of sound." How I can imagine the vocabulary and trying to
see that
translate.
Not so much during the G&L days, but holy smokes, during the Jackson Charvel days, with all the metalheads guys coming in there, dude, I need this kind of Rubenesque chocolatey lush, in the top end that kind of rolls, and you go, what? It is. So you go,
I know, just the thing.
So I go, okay, I'm going to let you come down off that high first, and then we're going to talk a little bit about, what's going on here. And so they bring in the amps, and we play a bunch of guitars. And this is what I used to do. I had two big, large suitcases that I would carry around with me when I would go into studios and work with groups. One was filled with pickups in 100-turn increments with ceramic magnets. Another suitcase was the same thing in 100-turn increments, progressively hotter and hotter with Alnico. And it was like, okay, what do you want? What do you hear? And so I'm listening to him, go on with his description and go, okay, what I'm getting from this. And then I would change the pickups in his guitar, let him go out. And then he would play in the thing and he's going, oh, dude, that never was it. That's perfect. Stop there. It was always, that's exactly right. Except it's a little bit too bright there. I go, okay, we're going to add a little bit more wire to it, kind of tone down that top end. And then it was, 2-3 times, sometimes, to days, you dial it in and it's like, that's the deal. That is the pickup that I want in my guitar. So it's like, well, cool, it's no problem. Since, Jackson, we were making them. We could wind the pickup any way you wanted, put any kind of magnet you want into it. Sky's the limit. In fact, the funnest thing is I used to have some of the metalhead guys, they would come in and I would say, hey, would you like to make your own pickup? And there's like, you can do that, And I go, yeah. So I would sit them down in front of the winder and just say, okay, what do you like? Well, that has about this many turns of that gauge of wire. So they'd sit down and they would wind these pickups and they would be like,
That's cool.
This is so cool,
Yeah.
It takes so long, it's just a couple of hours, because you got to wind it, you tape it off, you drop it into the wax tank, you assemble, it takes a while to build one humbucking pickup. Sitting there with all the material in front of you. But to get done, to load into the guitar, and it was really funny. I don't think ever I had a situation where the guy loaded the pickup into his guitar and didn't say, that's the greatest pickup I have ever heard, because he made it. And so he got to leave there with his pickup that he made in the guitar. We talked a little bit about it, because it wasn't like way weird or anything. It was... I've done this for so many years. If somebody says, I wanted to, like this pickup or like that pickup, I knew about how many turns of wire you'd want to do, what gauge and what kind of magnet and all that stuff there. And you just kind of dial the stuff in there. And you get close enough where if you're the one that wound it, it's the most amazing thing you've ever heard.
Yeah. Yeah, you got skin in the game.
Had I wound it, maybe they would go, it's a little bright for me. Yeah. So, but it was.
Well, let's talk about tone and how you get tone as a guitar player. All the different ways that I remember years ago we talked about that. I was trying to put together, just doing some research, like a hierarchy of this is how you sound like Jeff Beck. And of course, if Jeff Beck played Eric Clapton's guitar, it would sound like Jeff Beck, even if it sounded like the tone of Clapton's, Strat with super slinkies on it,
Yeah.
So how he's picking it, where he's picking it, more than anything, how he's phrasing it. But kind of break that down to me as far as
absolutely.
tone and personality.
I think one of the most difficult thing for people on their eternal quest for Nirvana tone or whatever, they don't realize that it's this. The hands
and this,
and the head is that there is so much. I could pick up a Strat. I can sound like Clapton.
You do, you can. Or Carlos.
I can sound like Beck. I can sound like Richie Blackmore, Robin Trower. You got to do a couple little, get to, the rotor vibe and maybe a little overdrive, but it's really after you learn the touch sensitivity and the things of these people, you can start to kind of move and mimic that stuff. Now, nobody's going to ever mistake me for Clapton, but there's a lot of it is in the hands. But the other part, the part of the guitar, this is what when I'm trying to explain, I'll start with the simplest thing, like a Stratocaster pickup. It's a single coil of wire. Let's just use the neck pickup. You just have 6 little magnets in there, hopefully lined up close to under the strings as you can. They don't always do that. Then you just wrap around, roughly 8,000 turns of wire around these things, a 42 gauge, and it will produce a voltage out of it. They go, well, what kind of voltage? Well, it depends on the strings that you're using, depends on the neck wood, it depends on how hard you're picking. It also depends on your volume and your tone controls. People just go, well, I always put in a 250K and pot, 250,000 ohm volume pot.
Potentiometer.
Yeah. And so I go, well, okay, is it really 250K in this one? Let's measure it. And in one it's 265 and the other one is 232 or something. And I go, if the lower one squishes the peak down, and so it sounds a little bit different. And they go, well, but I don't really notice a difference. And I go, well, that may well be, but a lot of other people do, and so you have to be aware of that. Capacitors, they have tolerances on those. There's a lot of things in the design of a guitar. When you're doing the electronics and stuff, what you're trying to do is you figure, I'm going to be making a guitar. These are going to be predominantly with rosewood necks, a little bit softer tone. Most of them are going to be in lightweight altered bodies. And so you go, okay, so this is a softer one, so I can have an aggressive pickup in there. And some people might like that. I take that same pickup out, I put it in a heavy ash body and a maple neck. And then people go, well, what'd you do to my pickup? And you go, well, I didn't do anything to your pickup. I drastically changed your guitar, but I didn't do anything to your pickup. Yeah. And sometimes it's even just the visual. People, if they see a guitar, I'm going to tell you, and I love Robin Ford. I think Robin Ford is an amazing player.
Oh, my gosh. I do too.
But I will never forget this thing. It was at Fender. We were evaluating pickups. Single coil pickups, and there was a particular guitar that he really loved. It was I'm trying to remember. It was like the certain maple neck, and the body was kind of light, but
hollow body or solid.
It was a solid body, and so I would take the pick guard off, and then I would move it around to different guitars and stuff, and then sometimes I would take the pickups out of that pick guard and I would flip those. I'm trying to do like blind testing there. I don't want him to know where the pickup is. And I'm moving it around to different guitars and stuff. And so he plays this guitar that he really loves. Everything is great. And he just goes, no, you don't understand. Listen to the tone of this pickup here and everything, but he had it in a different guitar at that time. And, I'm moving this pickup around, and he goes, I don't really like that one. That one doesn't sound very good to me. But I put it in the guitar that he loved. And all of a sudden he goes,
it doesn't.
Because I don't know what it is. This pickup just sounds amazing. It's just so great sounding. And I'm going, you hated it in that guitar over there. But if I put it in the guitar that you love, that feels right to you, all of a sudden it's magical. And you start realizing, you go, this is an impossible task. What you try to do is go, you end up with a window. You just say, I'm going to wind this pickup. I'm going to have this many turns of wire. I'm going to use these kind of magnets. And they sound really good in a vast majority of guitar bodies. But the reason they have so many pickup manufacturers, the reason everybody loves changing their pickups is because the same pickup, I don't care what they tell you. I got all kind of years of people with some really good ears telling me, they go, it changes when you put them into different, weight bodies with different kinds of necks and stuff. This stuff all changes. And so you really, what you're trying to do is just create something that you go, okay, this is a really good general purpose pickup. And it sounds really good in most of all the Strat type guitars we've got. Are there going to be some outliers where you maybe want the pickup to be a little bit brighter because the guitar is a little dark? Of course. Mm-hmm. And you probably find something similar in like your industry with, I don't know, phone. Is how cables play.
Cables interconnect.
So it's really the same thing. I mean, you deal with the same kinds of things.
And a lot of this is about impedance matching or right? How it sounds and how it's interacting on both ends of it. So
here's a lesson that I try to teach people. This experience was kind of cool. Okay, so Ronnie James Dio, he's rehearsing with the band, and he's got I don't know, Craig Goldie was the guitar player at the time, but I get called up there. He's playing in this the rehearsal studio, and he's going, man, I don't know, this guitar, it just sounds so brittle. It's just terrible. And he's playing this thing, and he's right. It does sound really, really kind of harsh and ice picky. And I go, so what are you using here? What's going on here? And he has a little wireless system, and he's having it go over to his head. And I go, okay, can we just try something? I know you don't like having a cable and everything like that, but so I take his wireless out and I put in like a 20-foot cord, and he plays it, and he goes, oh my gosh, that's it. What's going on here? I go, well, the cable capacitance now is moving your resonant frequency down lower in your pickup. The more capacitance I have across this coil, the lower it resonates. It's just like, and I go, well, what should I do? And I go, well, okay, I don't recommend you do this, but let's just try this out. Take this 20-foot cable, unplug it from the amp, coil it up, stick it in your back pocket, take the other end, plug it into your wireless, and send it over there. And he goes, oh my gosh, this sounds so much better. Okay, well, so rather than all we got to do is take about a 560 picofarad cap and solder to the input. Of the thing. I go, there's easier ways to do this. Actually, and I did make him something with the guitar. I had a little toggle switch where he could add some capacitance to the pickup when he was going to be using these other things there. And it's like, that's not really an elegant solution. It worked. And funny enough, that actually was what made me make the circuit for Neal Schon. He had a model. I don't know if you remember, he had a model of guitar. It was really kind of goofy looking, but it was the Schon guitar. And
this was like what album or year?
It would have been just before, I think, Raised. Was it the radio one?
Okay.
I think because I was making him some two preamps too. I flew up to a studio when Journey was rehearsing. I took in that thing there. But he had a model guitar, and so he goes, I want a buffer preamp in the guitar, but those things always sound thin to me. And I go, well, would you like to be able to have it selectable where you could put in little varying capacitors in it and change your resonant frequency to 8 different locations depending on what else you want to do. And he goes, well, that would be really cool. So I made a little tiny preamp with a little tiny lever switches on the inside. I go, just move this to where you like it, button it up, and you're good to go. You got a buffer on it, and then you can drive whatever you want. It doesn't matter what you.
Yeah.
I think I call it I think it was the JE1000, the Jackson Electronics 1000 preamp. It was in all Schon guitars. You know,
around that same, I mean, that exact period when you were at Neal Schon studio, I would have been at Ross Valerie's working on his acoustics. Yeah, because I remember when that album, when they toured, the band gave me a signed album cover and backstage passes. I took my son to the show.
Oh, cool,
so
cool.
That's how come I remember. Okay, that time. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. So tell me something that is there something that you are most proud of as far as most accomplished or whatever? And I know you're retired now. You're teaching, you're still doing repair and stuff like that. You're still involved. But in your professional career, is there something that, really stands out?
Well, my favorite one is that my hero, Eric Clapton, is playing my circuit guitars. After all these years, it's
that's hard
still,
to beat. Yeah.
That actually is
hard to believe.
It makes me feel, it really is. There's a lot of things that has happened to me in my life where I have to pinch myself and just go, I can't believe I'm here.
How about the fact that you are in Leo Fender's office and his lab? I mean, that's got to be surreal too.
Did you check out that video that I sent you?
Yes. Yes. I mean, everything's caked with dust. Nothing's touched.
There's
unless you touched it.
There's a lot of stank in that office, I'll tell you. That sucker's old. I mean, and some of the stuff like with Jackson and things. When Jeff Beck was playing with Jan Hammer, and I forget what they were working. Anyway, they were doing a thing together, and and there was this very short-lived guitar processor. It was called the GTM6, Guitar to MIDI Converter. It was built by Shadow, and then I eventually hooked up because I knew the president of Shadow Electronics. And it went under the Charvel banner. So it was the Charvel GTM6. And so Grover says, hey, Jeff Beck wants to try this out. He's up at the Beverly Hills Hotel. Go take this thing up there to him. so I'm going up there, and I'm in his room, and I'm sitting there going, I'm in freaking Jeff Beck's hotel room. We're just sitting back there, and he's playing the most ridiculously cool stuff with this. Because he's got, I took up... like a keyboard, a MIDI keyboard. And so he's hooking in patches of like flutes and all this weird stuff. And he's having the time of his life because he's just going off in all directions and everything. And I'm just going, I cannot believe that I'm here.
Yeah.
Oh, this is just so weird.
Wow.
That just kind of that was just what happened is that you're in the middle of this like tornado, Grover's, hey, this band's playing there. Hey, we got to get over there. Get the stuff together here. Rat's going to be recording. Get over there. Robin Crosby needs a new pickup. And I was like, all right, you're just driving everywhere. And
have you got any cool metalhead stories?
Oh my gosh.
I mean, because I know you worked a lot. I mean, those guys were great customers.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, with Jackson. Oh, yeah. Well, we would room with them at NAMM shows and stuff. And so, Rough Cut, you have Amir Darak from Rough Cut, he's like, hey, can I share a room with you? And I go, yeah, but just, I like to go to bed early. I'm not like 3 a.m. like you knuckleheads there. But, I'm asleep room and this guy comes plowing in there with a bunch of girls at like 3 a.m. like, and it's like, and I have to be up to give a seminar at like 6 o'clock in the morning and everything. And I mean, these guys just live a crazy lifestyle, Rat, I knew the guys Rat really, really well. And I did a lot of stuff with them too.
Did you hear that Ozzy Osbourne passed away today?
Yeah. That's it. That's funny too, because when Black Sabbath, their first album came out, I'm just a little kid and I got my electric guitar, and you're just going, how do you make those sounds, man? You're trying to get
Yeah.
that distortion and all that stuff going on, and it's like it was just
Well, so
otherworldly.
was that when you, I mean, just as an example, is that when you had the, wow, this is fascinating. I want to learn how to make that sound. Was it
Oh,
Ozzy Osbourne,
yeah,
Black
yeah.
Sabbath, or?
That first Black Sabbath album was ridiculous. That was the
Okay.
first time I'd heard something like that.
Okay.
There was a lot of
Yeah.
rock and roll stuff around there, but that heavy sound with the I don't know if it's like the slap delay or the double. I'm just listening to it go. I don't know how he does it. And we actually tried, the band that I was in. We were trying to do that stuff there, but it didn't sound like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was just fun. In my head, it was really cool. People listening to it were probably just going, "What's the matter?"
Well,
with
so
you?"
how was he doing it, Paul? What kind of effects was he
Well,
using?
a lot of it was just when you record it, you could record it, twice, and
Oh,
then just kind of delay the one a little bit, or you
so
could do
rather than
it.
like a bucket brigade electronic setup,
You
it was
you can
done,
do it. You can do it with that too.
but they were
I wasn't.
probably,
I wasn't actually at that. I was very young. I wasn't
yeah,
access to studio stuff or anything like that.
yeah, we're talking
But
what,
it's just
72?
would that have been 72? Let me see.
I don't know.
Yeah, well, 71, 72.
Yeah,
Anyway, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Because our band, that was the whole thing there. You get your band together and everybody sits down and listens to Black Sabbath. And just go, yeah, let's learn that song. All right. Yeah.
yeah,
Sure, give me the hard part. Oh
yeah,
man, that was a blast.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
I love guitar. Guitar is just so much fun. I mean, it's so great.
So's drums.
Yes, I know, dude. You're amazing. You know that when you came out,
No,
when we were jamming, what was that, a couple of weeks ago,
yeah.
dude. I was telling everybody, I go, you ought to hear Norm on drums. Holy smokes, this guy rips. That was a lot of fun, dude.
We got
Appreciate
to
you
do it
jamming with
again.
me. Yeah, yeah. No, I appreciate you coming over and jamming it. That was
Yeah. Oh man, I had a blast. We definitely will do that again.
really,
I hardly ever get to play.
well, anytime a drummer shows up and he's holding his own sticks, you go, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
this guy, he knows what's up.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm doing a trade show. That's what was the impetus of me stopping by your place was
Yeah,
I was doing a trade show right there, and so I take a pair of sticks with a little rubber caps on the head,
yeah,
and so I'll just do some little rudiments and stuff if I'm not talking to somebody. And it'll be a conversation starter for sometimes,
yeah.
and at the same time, I'm entertaining myself and keeping up my chops some.
Well, yeah. No,
Yeah.
you got chops, dude.
So yeah, I mean, that's one thing that's cool with I can just take those sticks and with me wherever I go. So
Yeah,
easier than a guitar.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You show up somebody's house with a guitar slung over your back, they just go, yeah, maybe not, dude.
Yeah. What was the first album that you bought?
I bought two albums. One was Eric Clapton's first solo album, and then the other
That
one,
Wait a second, Paul.
yeah,
That was the first album that you bought?
yeah, that and the Neil Young's. Well, because my brother Dave, he bought everything. The whole, well,
Oh,
two things. He bought
okay.
albums, and also he was the king of borrowing his friends' records and never taking them back. So I
Dave?
had all
Huh.
kinds of albums, but
Oh,
when that well ran dry and I finally got a job where I had some extra cash, then I went down about I think it was Neil Young's Everybody Knows This Is Nowhere, and then Clapton's first solo album that had
huh.
Red Wine and Blues Power on, and I'm listening
Yeah,
to that.
yeah.
Going,
Well, there you go. Super Slinkies and the
oh,
Strat.
dude,
Yeah.
because I mean I'd been listening to Cream for all the time, and at my junior high graduation and stuff, there was always these bands that we would get up, and we were trying to do, Hendrix All Along the Watchtower, which
Yeah.
I'm glad nobody recorded this stuff because in my head it sounds like whoa, but I'm sure people were going in the audience going, well, so what song is that? I don't. Yeah, we were doing Hendrix and Cream. That's what you played.
Yep.
And also Grand Funk Railroad for those of us who couldn't handle the Clapton chops. We would do the Mark Farner stuff.
Yeah,
A
yeah.
little easier for me to handle.
Heck yeah. Well, what about, did you do Santana in your band?
No, because we didn't have
Really?
like a lot of cool percussion stuff. I mean, I would do it at home and stuff, and just because I love
Yes, I remember.
that
Yeah.
tone is just it was just so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
You know, I love putting on the Woodstock. You know, doing like Soul Sacrifice and stuff. Just going. Oh, you
Yeah.
gotta love that too, because the drumming in that was.
Oh yeah.
pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
But,
Santana is I mean, if I had to be in a band and hit the road, it would be a jazz band or Weather Report, or if it had to be a rock band, it was going to be Santana. Latin, I mean, so fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that would be the only. I mean, anything else it'd be tough after day 10. It'd be tough.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's got to be changes and playing off of each other and to make it fun and interesting.
Yeah.
So
it'd be like me going, we're gonna go, on the road and just do 3-chord country tunes and stuff. It's day 10. You're just going, I don't think I'm gonna make it anymore.
I know. Yeah, it'd be hard. I remember playing in Northern California. I was in a brass band, a symphony orchestra, a rock band, and this. Well, I guess it was the rock band that also we would have to do country gigs. We were in Northern California, You had to do country gigs. I mean, wow, so boring. Yeah, thank goodness there were guitar solos, something to work off of,
Yeah.
Nowadays, and I'd love to get your take on music nowadays. I mean, when was the last pop tune to have a solo? I mean, for us, they always had solos, a sax solo, and keyboard solo, guitar solo, or whatever. That nowadays you don't ever hear that.
Yeah, no, it's. I would not like to be, hired as a gun to play some touring in a band right there.
Yeah.
Just go, that's a hard pass. I just,
yeah.
I have to be inspired and feel like I'm doing something that's fun. You
know.
You got
yeah.
a little bit, maybe play a little bit on the outside, but not too far out, and then you kind of, change it up.
Not to say there isn't a lot of good music out there. I'm just saying, as far as pop music, it's gotten more and more dummied down. I mean, you're lucky if there's even a person playing. What is there anything current that you can think of that you like?
Well, I always kind of steer towards the guitar player stuff. Like I do Eric Johnson. I do a lot of.
He's been around forever, Paul.
I know. I met him at Fender back when it was 79. He came in. It is cool. I'm sitting in my office, and I had a Strat that I had pulled all the strings off, and I dressed the frets down because the 7 1/4 inch radius was too rounded. So I'm trying to bend the strings and everything's choking out. So I got a 9-inch radius block, and I filed all of my frets down to a 9-inch radius, which made it play nicer. And so I've got it sitting there. Eric comes in, and I'm talking, and it's like, oh yeah, I think Dan Smith was the guy in charge of the marketing, and they were trying to do something with Eric, because I think his album Tones was just getting ready to be released. He brought in a cassette that we would listen to in the car, and I'm listening to it and just going, oh dude, wow. And so he comes in and he sees my Strat there. It was like the sunburst rosewood neck thing that I just played when I was, at a moment, because I liked it. And he goes, hey, can I try out your guitar there? And he plays it, and he immediately just goes, oh, this thing plays like a dream. You dressed the frets, didn't you? And I was like, well, yeah, because the 7 1/4 inch radius is too rounded. And he's like, yeah, it chokes out and all this stuff. And I'm going, well, yeah, that's what, so I'm having a conversation.
So you're flattening down the fret?
Yeah, it changed the radius from 7 1/4, which is how they came stock, I change it to a 9-inch radius, which takes the middle
Yeah.
down.
Yeah. Not as
You try to
tapered.
leave the edges,
Yeah.
but you take the middle down. Uh, if you try to do it to a 12-inch, which is what I prefer playing on, you don't have enough fret material. You have to take the frets off and sand the wood down to be 12, which I've done on my guitars too. Just because, I don't know, for a 7 and a chord is great if you're just playing chords. But if you're trying to bend notes and stuff like that, you got to have the action up real high. People do it. I mean, great players can do that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised. 79, Eric Johnson, he wasn't already, he didn't know this, wasn't already doing that. Because I know people like, Larry Carlton certainly were in the know and were doing things like that.
I think there's a lot of custom shop people that were doing that, taking guitars and flattening them down.
Yeah.
Just because that's a common problem. I mean, I learned that way early on. You're playing on, I remember the very first Telly that I ever played on, it had, it felt like you were playing on a baseball bat. It was so rounded, and, you're trying to bend strings and it's, choking out and everything. And I'm just going, I go, I don't like Telecasters. And that wasn't true. I love Telecasters. I just don't like it when they have 7 1/4 inch radius necks because I can't play them the way I like to play them. And so I prefer my guitars have a 12-inch radius or flat, or some of the Ibanez. I think they're like 17 or something like that. They're quite flat.
Now, this is probably more a matter of hand shape or what you're used to or whatever, or are you going to find that most any guitar player is going to prefer that?
No, there are some who like it being a little more rounded and stuff.
Yeah.
I have a wide variety of guitars. I've got Ibanez, I've had Gretches, I've had Gibsons, I've had and most of those are flatter necks. And the Fenders that I had, they were more rounded, and so I tended to get rid of those and get more modern ones where they actually offer ones with 9-inch or 9.5 and 12. And so at G&L, those are all 12s unless you specifically ask for it to be something different. But, I don't know. It's just my personal preference. I like to have a little bit flatter radius on the neck.
Yeah.
Because I play acoustics, I play classical, so it's, if I don't want to have so much variation between these guitars that it just becomes like I got to almost like relearn things.
Right. Yeah. And playing a different instrument. You want it to feel like it's the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Do you play any slide?
No, I've goofed around with it.
Didn't you have a dobro, or don't you have a?
Yeah, I have a round neck dobro, and I did a little bit with the glass slide, like when I was playing around with some kid, but it was real simple stuff. Nothing to where you're just going, hey, that dude can play. It's stuff where you just go, I think it was an Alanis Morissette one, Winding Road, it's like, it's not really that tough to play that.
Yeah. I would love to be a great slide guitar player.
It looks like it's a lot of fun, but you have to kind of dedicate a little bit of time.
I know.
To that.
I told you a while back I want to get a lap steel. I still do, but it's like, when am I going to learn how to play that? Huh? That's a difficult instrument. And
and were you going to get the little bender things too? The arm?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I remember you told me that, and so I looked into it and I go, that looks like a blast. And then I'm listening to people do it and I go, that looks like a lot of time invested in playing that thing there. So
I know.
Maybe I just get better playing at what I already know kind of how to play.
Yeah. Well, and I probably should. I've got a couple of guitars that I should probably just pretend it's a lap steel and play with it. But anyway, I don't have time. I don't have time to play drums. So gosh, but I would love to. Always wanted to. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
But I don't see it happening. But I would love for it to. I would love to do that. I really would. I think I have a thing for slide, and I think I up here anyway.
Yeah.
If I got proficient at honing the skills, I think I could be a decent player. But
Yeah, when I was noodling around with it, I would do a couple songs there and go, I'm getting believable at this. But then it's like to take it to the next level where you're actually kind of doing more intricate lines there. You just go,
yeah,
well, you got to really have your left hand technique down pretty tight, or strings are ringing and making a big racket and everything.
yeah. I love like Little George and Dwayne Allman, and those
Yeah.
are they're great. What was your first concert, Paul?
Oh, probably a Jethro Tull one.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
never got to see Jethro Tull play when I was young.
Actually, I went there to see. Um, let's see. No, I'm trying to. Actually, I take that back. Okay, this one's worse. I actually went to see Black Sabbath, and Yes opened up for them,
Wow.
and I remember seeing Yes just going, "Oh my gosh, this is awesome! This is so cool."
You mean you weren't familiar with them beforehand?
Just that there was a group of people that go, "Oh yeah, I heard of Yes and everything." And, I hadn't
Yeah.
listened to too much
Wow.
of it, but I went there to see Black Sabbath. But then Yes was opening for it. And then, but then when I was into Tull, I'm trying to remember who opened for Tull. I think it was like a band called Head, Hands, and Feet or something like that. But it was.
Wait a second, Albert Lee?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you kidding?
No, remember.
Oh my gosh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. And
Wow.
and then there was one time I went, and I think Poco
Cool.
opened up for Tull. Seeing Tull was so, and I saw them every year because I loved Yes, and then I loved Tull, and I would go see them every year for years.
Yeah.
But
Huh.
it's Head, Hands, and Feet, and then Poco, and all these other bands, stuff like that. And
Well, so Yes must have opened up a new world for you.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah,
that progressive stuff.
two reasons why I got into playing bass. One is there was too many freaking guitar players around in the groups I was hanging out with, and a couple of them were better than I was, and so it was like, well, you could play bass, and so I'm going, hey, if I can play bass like Chris Squire, sign me up. And so, in the stuff that we played, I was playing lead bass all the time, so that was a blast. So I ended up switching over to bass in the bands that later.
What kind of bass were you playing?
Oh, crap, anything I get my hands on. A lot of times it was one that my brother, a band he was in, his guitar player had this, I think it was a St. George, one of the really off-brand ones.
My brother had a St. George guitar. It was terrible.
Oh, dude. Oh, yeah. I mean, you could hang your shirt on the strings. They were so high off the neck. I mean, it was ridiculous. But for me, it was just like, dude, that's awesome. But then I got actually a Hofner bass. I played a Hofner bass.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Had a Beatle bass, and I played that until the neck kind of was breaking away from the body, and I didn't know how to fix it. And so I took it to a guitar shop and traded it in for another guitar because I was going back to guitar and didn't need the bass. And so
yeah,
I could shoot myself for doing that because it was I think a middle '60s Beatle bass.
Oh, be worth a lot.
Yeah. So
where'd you get it?
Hogan's House of Music. I don't know if you.
Yeah.
It was a shop that I mean, all the guys in the bands that were in my neighborhood, when you were going to play somewhere, we didn't own enough equipment. So you would go to Hogan's House of Music and you'd rent your amps and maybe an extra guitar because the one you had you didn't like, so never made any money because all the money that we made went to the rentals for the amps, PAs, and guitars and stuff.
Yeah.
But, it was just fun. I love doing that stuff. Great experience.
Yeah. Well, so you're still playing a little bit?
Not, I mean, I teach. I got a couple of students and stuff, and that's a lot of fun. Occasionally, there'll be something, and I'll play for like one event or something like that. But I'm not in a band.
Yeah. Right.
It's been a long time since I've been in a band, and quite frankly, it's a lot of work to be in a band.
Oh yeah, it is.
And
yeah, especially when you've got other responsibilities.
Yeah, and when I own all the equipment and stuff, and so I have to go early in, because I own the PA, the amps, and the guitars and everything. So I'm setting all the stuff. These guys show up. They're okay. Let's play. Well, I gotta go, and so then I gotta schlep all the stuff into my.
My world too, being the drummer, I was always the first
Oh
one
yeah,
there and the last one there.
yeah.
My mom, gosh, she was amazing. So I was playing before I could drive, I played with the Esquire band. I can't remember now. But anyway, I played with a big band before I could drive. These guys they were legit. They were big band players, retired,
Nice.
So I was, by decades, the youngest player in the band. And yet I'm in the driver's seat, and we played great gigs,
Nice.
really nice gigs, like at the Queen Mary and, nice
Nice.
venues. And that was a blast. But yeah, my mom was my roadie for quite a while, and I mean, all around
Yeah,
Southern California, sometimes Northern California.
that's
So I
awesome.
mean,
That's so
had a
cool.
station wagon just loaded up with my drums,
That's
and
so cool.
she was just amazing. So yeah, thank goodness for her, because I mean that gave me so much experience and opened up other doors and
Yeah.
opportunities that if it weren't for her, you know. So yeah, I was blessed. That's for sure. Well, so tell me, you have any other stories regarding any of the experiences with guitarists coming in and going, "Hey, I'm after this type of tone." Like some of the metalheads. What were some of the experiences of that? I remember one story you told me where they were playing really loud. Do you remember that story?
Boy, there's a lot of those.
I imagine there were,
Yeah.
but they were trying something, and it was really
Well,
shaking the house down.
that was probably that Vinnie Vincent Invasion little stint. When Vinnie Vincent he was playing with Kiss. I don't remember if they just tossed him out of the band or he got irritated and just didn't show up. Anyway, it was a big blowout. He started that Vinnie Vincent Invasion, and so he comes in to Grover. He wants to have a guitar. His model guitar, it was like a V, but it was two V's. It was like a V and then another V that was recessed out of wood. So it looked like two V's, but and then it had the nice metal neck on it. And so I made the pickups and everything for him and stuff. He goes, I want to run 500-watt Marshall heads as full stacks. And I'm going,
That's the one, yeah.
we'll bypass the why, but I go, I go, okay.
You don't ask why.
He goes, but so you can't just daisy chain them into the amps. You load the crap out of your guitar pick. So I go, okay, let me mix. So I made him a nice interface box. He could plug in. We could set your loading effect on your guitar, get everything right. Go into 5 independent, buffered outputs. That would go out into the studio. He couldn't be in the room with them. So we're in the control room, got the cables running under the door out into where the studio is. It's got 5 full stacks, 100-watt full stacks there. And he's playing the singer and they're just like going, oh my gosh. I mean, there's not enough sound isolation for stuff like that. And he's just blasting all that, and he's having the time of his life. And I'm just going, what do I care? So, but I mean, I'm having fun there. But so he's doing that stuff there, and it was just so loud, and you go out there, the guy doing the mic placement on the cabinets out there. Good luck with that. You go, just stick a bunch of mics in and around the room and cross your fingers.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was really quite funny. But I made quite a few little interface boxes for people and stuff like that. Vinny also wanted one where he had one of those gargantuan racks, and he goes, but I want to switch all these effects in and out, and everything. And I go, well, you're a roadie. Could he just bypass you, turn them off and on? And he goes, no, I want to have a pedal in front of me where I can hit a button, and on the back it just switches. So I made this gargantuan box with all these switching relays in it. He could plug all his effects into it. I mean, it was just ridiculous. But from there he could just sit and hit the button and it would switch in and out all the different effects. Now you can do like a MIDI controller. Oh, it was nuts. It was ridiculous.
But he was able to
He
make use of it.
Yeah, he could do it. Steve Vai needed something that was kind of similar to that too. It wasn't quite that elaborate, but this is back before Steve Vai was doing anything with
Frank.
No, it was after Frank. I think it was as he was getting ready to do David Lee Roth, that Eat 'Em and Smile thing.
Oh, okay.
Well, so he came in, and Grover was making some guitars for him, and I took him up. He had his house in it was up north. Anyway, I drive up there with all the gear and stuff like that, and he wants little switching boxes and stuff. And he had a cool little studio in the back, in the back part of his house and stuff. And sometimes it's just really fun to see when you deal with people at that level. You're just in there. Yeah. He says, "Hey, we'll make you something to eat," and you're just hanging with them. It's completely different than when you're, "Oh, Steve, can I get your autograph?" Kind of thing like that. It's just,
oh yeah.
You're just buds and dudes. Yeah. You're just hanging out there. It's just a different world, and it's fun to be like that with these guys.
Yeah. Well, and you've been exposed to huge extremes as far as personalities and so forth. I mean,
most of them have been really, really cool people. Only the rarest of times have I come across somebody where I just go, "This guy is he's just not a good person." I really like him, and it's like I don't know that I want to hang around him or do anything for him. It's not pleasant being around him.
Right. Yeah.
But that's the rare case. More of them. They were some really great people that I worked with.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, this was great talking to you. I'm sure there's
you too.
A lot of. We'll have to do it again.
Oh yeah.
Think of some other stories, and because I'm sure you're full of a lot of neat experiences.
Yeah, a lot of weird stuff happened during. Most of it I remember.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Well, really, it's a treat, and like I say, you're such a rare individual. Your engineering is pretty rare, and your experience is even more rare. And a lot of people don't know the people behind this kind of stuff.
That's true.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm doing this, is that so that people are aware, and it makes listening to music more interesting and more fun when you understand and appreciate the things that are behind the scenes.
Yeah.
So yeah. All right. Well, the sun has gone down finally.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still setting, but it's not on my face.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, it's a treat, Paul. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right, dude.
All right.
Talk to you later.
See you, Paul.
Okay, bye.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. And if you would like to see more, click here or here. And don't forget to go to avroomservice.com to see how we can help you make the most of your listening experience.